Well, a very happy Friday to you, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on Up North Live Unscripted at 6:30. Well, after a pretty wintry day yesterday on the first official day of spring, things warmed up a bit today across northern Michigan. We saw some sunshine, and a lot of that snow that we gathered last night and yesterday is now melting. So that's the good news. But the not so great news is if you like weather like we had today, more wintry weather is back in the forecast this weekend, right, Trevor?
You know, you look like you want more snow. You want more snow?
No, I'm giving off the wrong idea.
I think we're all just about tired of snow, but unfortunately, we do have more back in the forecast. Temperatures after we got that tease towards spring, we were at like 70, like a week ago, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna be below freezing everywhere tomorrow.
Oh, gosh.
That's not a joke. This is not a prank. We are going to be cold again tomorrow, winter-like weather with snow returning to the forecast, and lake effect snow at that, too. And we're remaining on the colder side the entire weekend, and then we've got more widespread snow again on Monday. So if you were dusting off your spring attire, I would recommend putting it away for at least the next 7 days, because we don't look like we're going to be on the warmer side, per se, for that stretch of time. So I'll cover that and more when we come back to the main weather to me in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Trevor. Our top story tonight is an asking from Michigan State Police. They're asking two things from all of us tonight. One is help identifying a car and a driver who they say narrowly avoided a tragedy. And two, that all of us do a little better when it comes to driving habits, especially around school buses. Now, this comes after a very scary situation in Onaway just a couple of days ago. Here is Mark Gillette with that full story.
Oh my God.
Horrific sight to actually witness that.
But you might not have caught it. That white vehicle didn't just pass the bus. It actually left the lane of travel and passed the bus with a student exiting someplace you just don't expect it to.
They are actually passing on the shoulder of the roadway.
This was a close call.
No one got hurt, but it could have been so tragic.
The bus driver was paying attention, even to places a threat wouldn't usually come from.
The bus driver actually told, we can't hear it in the video, but told her to stop. So in that situation, the bus driver was paying attention.
But the driver of that white SUV wasn't. And that's why troopers would like to talk to them.
We're just looking to see if anyone knows the vehicle that's in the video. It's a white SUV with like a flame on the side, a flame decal. And really, we're trying to educate the driver and the public.
Educate us, because when it comes to drivers flying by buses,
this happens every day across the state, the nation. People just aren't paying attention.
The rules, they say, aren't that hard to understand.
You should treat the flashing lights as if they're traffic signals. So if the yellow lights are flashing, slow down. You know the red lights are coming. If the red lights are flashing and the arm is out, you are required to stop. You cannot pass.
But often, it's not the folks don't know the rules.
It's not a difficult concept, really.
Rather, they simply aren't focused on the task at hand.
We can do better. We can do better as a society to just pay attention. Have the kids' safety in the forefront. And, just be better about it. Be mindful of what you're doing. That's all we ask.
Because, after all,
we shouldn't have to worry about our children going to and from school.
That was Mark Gillette reporting. Now, if you are caught passing a stopped school bus, you could face a civil infraction and a possible fine of up to $500. Now, if you can help identify the vehicle in the video with the Onaway school bus situation from March 17th, you are encouraged to contact the Gaylord Post of the Michigan State Police. Let's take a look at our question of the day now related to this story. Do you think penalties should be harsher for drivers who pass stopped school buses? As I just mentioned, right now, if you are caught, drivers can face a civil infraction and a possible fine up to $500. Do you think that those punishments and penalties should be harsher? Scan the QR code on your screen right now to vote. We have 366 votes as of right now. 94% are saying yes. We will take another look at that towards the end of the show, but we have an update to a story we first shared with you yesterday. A private prison in Lake County is set to reopen with a federal contract and could house up to 1,800 immigrants detained by ICE. Our Daniel Zivian has been following the story, and today he learned more about the economic impact both for Lake County and for the prison company.
The North Lake Correctional Facility near Baldwin has sat empty since 2022, when President Biden cut ties with the private prison industry. But even shuttered, it's the area's largest taxpayer.
Largest taxpayer, largest employer when they were open.
The GEO Group had to let go around 300 employees when it closed. County Administrator Toby Lake says many of those jobs could return now that GEO is back in business with Washington. But what if the winds change again once President Trump leaves office?
You talk about having a contract, and then 3 years later, you're laying people off. And so then there's a 2.5, 3 year hiatus. And now you're talking about hiring again. Now, for some, that's not an issue. But for others, I think they demand a little bit more stability.
GEO says it expects to generate $70 million of revenue in the first year. But the Detention Watch Network says conditions at ICE detention centers are abysmal and that no amount of money will make things better for the immigrants.
Private prison companies have an incentive to make money. That's why they exist. And so they're going to do whatever they have to do to maximize that profit. And that is going to be at the expense of the lives of people that are in their care.
Some level of the population is not a fan of private prisons. And ultimately, that's not for me to decide. I may not buy some of the products that some businesses in town use, but that's not for me to elect or the Board of Commissioners to elect.
Daniel Zivian, UpNorthLive News.
And Daniel is joining us live now for more on this story. And as I mentioned, Daniel, you have been following this story since the news broke just yesterday, right, that the prison was going to reopen?
Yep. There were some rumblings that turned out a few days earlier. The ACLU had gotten a hold of some documentation saying that this was probably going to happen. It was confirmed yesterday.
Is there a timeline of when we could see the prison back open?
Absolutely not. And in fact, I'm just going to get this out of the way right now. We reached out to GEO yesterday. They said they weren't going to say anything beyond their press release. And so that goes for a lot of questions we might have, unfortunately. And timeline is one of them. It's even kind of confusing where they are in terms of finalizing it. The first sentence says there's a contract with ICE. The next paragraph says they are going to finalize a contract with ICE. One wonders if they're trying to build in some wiggle room in case something falls through. But of course, it's impossible to know for sure.
So still a lot up in the air at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the chief questions of today's story is, ICE is listed in the press release as, going to be operating the facility. But of course, it's very difficult to imagine. This is what I talked about with Toby, the Lake County administrator. Even if ICE brings a decent sized staff to operate the prison, they're still going to need to hire some people locally, outside security, IT, maintenance, meals. But we won't know what that is until those job applications go out. The county's in the dark. Everyone's in the dark. All we have is this announcement.
Sure. And of course, no job applications can go out until a final plan is revealed.
Absolutely. And of course, we do know how many can be kept there, how many people can be detained at North Lake. It's 1,800. Given that they are going ahead with this expansion of the efforts that are already in full swing, it's possible the Trump administration thinks that, they'll have to be able to fill up that much space and that this is really a necessity. And so maybe this will happen really fast, or maybe not.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see at this point, it sounds like. But it also sounds like this idea is getting a lot of mixed reaction. It sounds like it could bring a lot of economic value to the Lake County community, but then some people are also concerned with just the overall operation of a private prison.
Yeah, so I spoke with a nonprofit. I believe it was Detention Watch. They are the full name was in the package there. They're a nonprofit that, it's a national thing. They are specifically for, and you can see this on the website, they use the word abolish, therefore abolishing the detention of immigrants while awaiting legal proceedings. And so this is already an issue that they've cared about for years. And there's a local, not a branch of this particular nonprofit, but a different nonprofit that protested at North Lake in 2019 when they took in their first batch of non-citizen federal convicts. And so, their concern is, they've monitored other facilities before, and it is their contention. I have no way of verifying this, but it is their contention that these ICE facilities have abysmal food and water conditions, abysmal sanitary conditions, medical neglect. They're really concerned about that, and they especially are worried about the private prison aspect. GEO went through the trouble of announcing in their press release that they expect to generate $70 million in revenue annually, starting from that first year, which is a pretty high number, especially since the 2019 report I dug up from our colleagues in the past say it was around 30 million back then. That is quite the increase.
Wow.
So they're especially concerned with the fact that a for-profit prison has different incentives unto themselves to make money, and not necessarily incentives of government service prisons.
Sure. And then on the other side, it could bring more jobs to the people of Lake County. But like we heard in your story, we don't know how long these jobs will be here, because maybe in another couple of years, something similar to what former President Joe Biden did, close private prisons. Who knows if that would happen again, right? So there's still a lot of uncertainty, even with that.
Yeah, that's going to be the big question, is once applications for local jobs do go out, you're going to, if you're someone who has been waiting for that opportunity to come up and you're living in Lake County or maybe closer to Manistee or something, and you've been waiting for something like this to get a steady job, how steady is that job going to be? In another 3 years, it's the end of the term, something changes, will it stick around? It wouldn't be as huge a deal, but again, if it's not for the fact that this is the largest taxpayer in Lake County. They even had to settle some tax claims because, we could go even longer about this, because they're trying, Toby said that the North Lake facility in GEO were trying to implement the dark store theory to try to get some tax breaks on the fact that it was empty. And they're still the largest taxpayer in the county.
Wow. Well, Daniel, thanks so much for providing us this update. I'm sure we will be hearing from you again when we learn more about the future and the timeline of this prison. So thanks again for joining us. And we do have one more story that I'm very excited to share with you. We shared it in our 6 o'clock newscast, and it's just a very good, heartwarming story, a really good story to end our Friday. So everyone needs friends like the students and staff of Walters Elementary in Marshall. They went the extra mile to show up for their friend on a very big day. Tana Barnes was at the Calhoun County Courthouse this morning to witness this amazing act of kindness.
It's not every day you get to wear a tiara or cape to court.
This is awesome. I don't think I've ever had a day like this in my courtroom.
But the Honorable Judge Hallisey will allow it because
today is the day?
The day to say, I gotcha, to little Isabella. This Marshall kindergartner appearing in court as a princess is about to become the 15th sibling in the Van Valkenburg family.
I got a couple kids.
Isabella in foster care for over 2 years before finding her forever family. She invited her entire class of fellow royalty to celebrate.
It's a huge learning experience for them, but they knew that they were here to celebrate Bella.
Her mom, Robin, has been fostering children for 28 years. She knew from the moment she met Isabella, she would be the perfect fit for the family of 16.
I liked her right away. Right away, I could tell she was super cool, and she was very fun, right?
Yes.
Have you always been fun?
Yeah.
I think so too.
Bella's principal taught the students about adoption. Marcy Heydrich has adopted children of her own.
We talked about how it feels like they're born from your heart, not your belly. And and just that importance of family and what family means, because family isn't always blood.
Some families aren't from blood, but from heart. And Bella was more than surrounded with it, both from home and from school.
Bella's surrounded by good human beings wherever she goes. When she goes to school, people love her and care for her, watch out for her, and make her life better. And that means the world to someone who maybe had a rough start to their life. Just knowing that people care and that people love her and that people love her giggles is wonderful for her.
There was no shortage of giggles in the courtroom. There was even a chance to use their outside voices. It's a day Bella and her new family are sure to never forget.
One more. Adoption.
Isn't that the sweetest story ever? Oh my gosh, it's so good. Okay, we do need to take a quick commercial break, but Trevor will have your weekend forecast in just a couple of minutes.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
If you are one of those people that really just doesn't want winter to end, it sounds like this weekend will be a good one for you. For more on that, let's turn things over to meteorologist Trevor Robideau. Trevor, how's the weekend looking?
Well, as you said, we've got more snow back in the forecast. We just had to do it, didn't we? We all got so excited and we scared the spring away.
Yeah,
and we were at 70 last weekend, and now we're going to be below freezing this weekend. 1 week later, exactly on the dot. Doesn't sound super
Michigan.
That's Michigan in mid to late March. That's just how it is. You know, that we're still technically in winter. We are not at all out of it yet. We are so close to the Canadian border after all. Anyway, let's talk about it. Let's go right over radar first. We've got some light rain tonight, if you can believe that. We're talking about cold temperatures, but we have rain right now. That's not going to last long. Right now, it's teetering right around the straits and parts of the western side. If we're going to zoom in there, some areas in Benzie and Leelanau County, maybe even far western Grand Traverse County, getting some light rain showers. A lot of this, as I mentioned, over the straits and parts of the eastern upper. It's going to slowly but surely, along with this cold front tonight, along that low pressure, going to move southeastward through the region. And when it does, it's going to do a couple things. It's going to turn all of our rain to snow, and it's going to bring in very cold temperatures tonight. That warm front you saw there was our warm temperatures today. We had that to thank We have the warm front to thank for that, but the cold front is going to do the exact opposite. Later tonight, just a few hours from now, our winds should begin to switch out of the northwest. And when it does, that cold front should finally start to slowly move through the region. And as that happens, we'll get some rain moving through some areas tonight. I don't think everybody around northern Michigan will get rain tonight, but some will. And then overnight, that'll transition into snow. And then tomorrow, our temperatures will be cold enough aloft over the lakes that we will actually have lake effect snow returning to the forecast. Now, it's not the lake effect snow that we all know and love, or not, depending on who you are, where it'll be super heavy, but we will have lake effect snow mainly west of I-75 in the morning, afternoon, and parts of the evening as well. Once we get towards the evening, closer to nightfall, a switch in the wind to more out of the west will blow those bands towards the east. And so if you're east of I-75, you may get a brief snow shower or two in the evening, but most of that should stay west of I-75. Our snowfall amounts overnight tonight should be no more than an inch in the snow belts. If you're outside the snow belts, I suspect you will get hardly anything, if anything at all. And then over the course of tomorrow through into Sunday, no more than, I think, 3 inches at most in some of the 3 to 4 inches at most in some of those snowbelt regions. Again, outside the snowbelt regions, especially east of I-75 or east in general, you will not see much, if anything at all. We will stay gusty. It was gusty today, especially in the afternoon, holding on to some of those wind gusts that will continue to stay around the region out of the northwest. Temperatures plummeting, and we get those northwest wind gusts throughout the majority of the day tomorrow. 13 to 25 tonight, a cold one, and still cold tomorrow with lake effect snow, and we'll hold on to that snow early on in the week as well.
All right, thank you so much, Trevor. We have to take another quick break, but sports is next. Don't go anywhere yet. Well, last time we talked to sports director Harrison Beebe on this show, he had a perfect bracket in the NCAA men's tournament. Let's get an update that I'm sure we all have been waiting to hear. Harrison, how's it going?
Well, unlike you, I only did one bracket, so I live by the perfection or the imperfection of that bracket. I don't fill out two and claim success in one and failure in the other. Not to throw any shade your way. Just curious though, Maya, of the first 3/4 of the first round, what's been your favorite part of the tournament so far?
Oh gosh. It hasn't been too exciting, but every now and then, like the 12/5 seed. So today we saw Colorado State 12 seed win. We saw McNeese beat Clemson. But besides that, not too many crazy upsets. I'm still waiting for a little more madness.
We haven't had a buzzer beater.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some close finishes. The Michigan game in particular last night was very dramatic down the stretch. But yeah, no real crazy March Madness moments that go in the lineage of the highlight reels. But Michigan does escape 68-65 over UC San Diego. As Maya referenced, we've seen 2 other 12 seeds win so far in this tournament. Oregon, another Big Ten team, has the chance to avoid that fate later tonight. And Michigan State has the chance to avoid a monumental upset as they take on Bryant in the 2:15 matchup. That's slated for a 10 o'clock start. Might even be a little later, depending on how late the Marquette New Mexico State game goes before then. But Maya, the biggest takeaway I have for the tournament so far, Big Ten 5-0 in the tournament. And that's for Big Ten teams, usually they get a lot of hype and then kind of flounder a bit, especially early on in the NCAA tournament. But so far, Big Ten teams batting 5-0.
Let's hope they can keep it up the rest of the tournament.
We'll find out. There's 3 more in action tonight. So it's a lot of pressure to get to go 8-0, but there's the chance.
I believe in them. They can do it. All right. Thanks so much, Harrison. Let's take another quick break, but we will check out our question of the day and some of your comments right after this commercial.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
At the beginning of the show, you saw that video of a scary situation in Onaway where a bus who was pulled over to let a student out with its lights on, a car drove on the right shoulder of that bus and just barely missed a student. So we want to know if you think penalties should be harsher for drivers who pass stopped school buses. 94% say yes, 6% say no. We have 382 votes. A lot of people say, like Cindy on Facebook says, they should have their driver's license taken away. That way they can't do it again. Deanne says a huge fine should only be a part of it. The offender should be court mandated to ride in the school bus and see what it's like firsthand to be responsible for the safety of all of those children. Join the conversation on our Facebook page. We have many more comments, but we are all out of time here on Unscripted tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Take care, everyone.